We're going to review the philosophy of yoga today. So the word yoga comes from the Sanskrit language, and it means to unite or to yoke. Typically, we see the world as being separate just based off of time and the parameters of time that keep all the things from happening all at once, essentially. We consider that the current subatomic theory acknowledges that hundreds of subatomic particles have been identified, which ask that we think of matter as actually having energy as opposed to just having mass and taking up space, essentially. We accept these forms as our reality because the experience of our reality, of our existence, is defined by them, creating our own little reality, the world and the microcosm to which we live. The theory has some close parallels with the yogic thought, that yoga has a concept of Maya, which is kind of like this veil that exists, which is defined as an illusion, although can be better described as a temporal or impermanent. So it's this illusion that we're going to be here forever, that all things exist at all time forever, and that nothing fades away. So we use the analogy of the ocean. The ocean is a symbol of wholeness or totality, the big reality, if you will. Out of this wholeness, a wave appears having its own momentum and its own flow and form. The appearance of the wave has the illusion of an individual identity. The wave sustains its experience for a period of time, and like us, our physical reality becoming a little reality and then dissolves back into the ocean or back into the whole. So it is us as people, we experience life, we go through life in our crest of the wave, and as we come over that hump, life begins to fall away, and then we experience death, going back into the whole, essentially. This concept of illusion of separateness, or the Maya that is created, that we're all kind of doing this in our own little bubble, in our own little box, suggests that our physical body, thoughts and emotions and mind, and even our spirit and reality are just different temporal manifestations of a common whole, so that we're not truly separate at all, that we all are a part of this quote-unquote consciousness, if you will. So the thing that seems to separate us from knowing that we're whole and that we exist in this consciousness is time. And time is just the measurement between two events. Space is the measurement between two objects. So essentially, our separateness is born of this idea of time and space. Because we live on a place that is defined by this duality, as in all the things don't happen all at once, all the space isn't violated. What we typically see when we're looking at something is we're looking at the space of the area to which we can then identify the object that exists in that space. We perceive time as linear and the things in sequence rather than occurring all at once, as I said before. As we would in reality, which is a transcendence of time. So the without the Maya, without this veil that we're experiencing, what's being said here is that all the things are happening all at once. Think, i.e., Doctor Strange, for those of you who are into Marvel movies. Excuse me. There's all of these realities that are happening all at once. And it's just a matter of what we have access to based off of our understanding of time and space as people. So the eternity, all that's happening all at once, is the analogous of the thread of which, kind of like a beads of necklace strung together. The thread exists in every place, in every time, in every space all at once. What time does for us is it truncates these quote-unquote eternities that are happening all the time. And if you were like, whoa, this is like 20 miles over my head, don't worry, it will come in time. Eternity has no relation to time at all. In fact, it is completely a transcendent of time and space. So infinity, on the other hand, can be defined as the unending sequence of time and events. So for the purposes of this lesson, it's easier to speak of eternity as it's the forever of the ness that goes on, if you will. It's an analogous to beads on a necklace, which follow one another and replicate in a repetitious cycle that goes on forever and ever and ever. It's essentially the loop that goes on. You get back to one, you just go on to the next one and continue as you move through the beads. The Maya is the dualistic framework which we have to deal with in our lives, and the yoga accepts that we are functioning within this duality. So in other words, a lot of times when bad things happen, we'll ask, well, why is this a thing? Why did this happen? Because it's very hard to know what goodness is if we don't know what bad is. Badness is not a word, so we won't use that. It's hard to know what good is if we don't know what bad is. So that's the duality that this is kind of referring to. It just speaks of it in terms of space and time, and us being able to separate and parse those parts in terms of our experience. And this duality allows us to experience adolescence. It allows us to experience the difference between adolescence and adulthood. It allows us to experience the craziness that is being a toddler to becoming an adolescent to becoming an adult. So it is necessary, but that duality doesn't stop just based off of age. It runs this entire realm that we're on. You kind of need one to have the other, or to fully experience the other. Considering this, we have to then work under the premise that we are not currently functioning in it as integrated beings. So the idea of this lesson is that because we don't have a full grasp that we all exist as one, then we're not working from this integrative perspective that we could be working from. It's kind of like I got me and mine over here, and you and yours stay over there, basically, is what they're saying that we're currently kind of working with and working on. It's a lens to which we currently see things. So the concept that most of us seem to be able to accept intellectually but not emotionally, that we are quote unquote all is one. People seem to think that many of things are lasting that aren't lasting. Happiness, one of those things, the thing that we chase after all the time. I don't know why I need this motion, but hey. The thing that we chase after on a regular basis, that we think that if we get this next thing, if the promotion comes through, if we get the house, if we get the whatever, that's the thing that's going to create our lasting happiness. And typically we tend to find that is very far, far, far from the case. Yet it is truth that the only constant in the universe is change. So there is an understanding that things will continue to flow forward, that time will continue to move forward. That the only thing that does not change is change itself, right? And we're all subject to this change. When you speak of pro athletes, it's the adage of, Father Time waits for no one, because that's the case. Time will continue to move forward. The body will continue to age and deteriorate, and relationships will ebb and flow as well. But none of these things are defined or set in stone in any way, shape, or form. Seeking this lasting fulfillment defined by change as we do, we seem to folly, yet we do it all the time, still seeking these things that we just are like, if we could just hold on to this moment, the anticipation of looking forward to the best day ever, as opposed to just being in that moment right here, right now, and not be so concerned or so worried with holding on to whatever this unchanging thing is, because we all know that it's going to change. So yoga offers techniques and guidelines to reintegrate the physical and psychological and spiritual levels of our being in order to overcome this misconception that we have. Working at all these levels is necessary to create a complete experience of self. So in order to understand ourselves as a whole, why we get into these cycles or spirals of either the woe is me or this moment I wanted to last forever, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. The reality is it's going to change in some way, shape, or form. We just can't be caught up in spinning ourselves forward into the future as to what it's going to look like, or spinning ourselves backwards into the past as to what it was at one point in time. Continuously being willing to move forward and see things for as they are now, not for what they're going to be or what they were, right? If we were to work at only one level without concerning the others, it would likely perpetuate imbalance. So if we're only considering what happened in the past, we have a tendency to get stuck there. If we're only pondering what's going to happen in the future, we have a tendency to get stuck there. So the idea is to embrace the moment and embrace the things that are in front of you, and it also keeps you from missing all these beautiful things that are happening on a daily basis, because then you're not worried about what tomorrow may bring, because in all honesty, you just don't know. So why not enjoy where you are right now? It just leads to fatigue and to stress, and it makes sustaining the quality of our life very difficult. And if we want to sustain our yoga practice on a whole, if we want to really dig into the benefits of yoga, being overwhelmed by the what ifs, the how-tos, the when, the what, the maybes, can really, really take us away from what we're supposed to be doing, which is being in this present moment and enjoying what's going on around us. With very little reflection, we see that our physical bodies, mind, and emotions are not working in harmony when we are in this state of the oh my gosh and the angst of what ifs. Often each seem to have its own agenda. The body wants to do something, the mind wants to do something, the spirit is looking for something else, and then we're left deeply unfulfilled as people on a whole. The primary motivating source of our thoughts resides in the in the facets of the mind commonly called the subconscious and the unconscious mind. So a little thought with the subconscious and the unconscious mind, to keep it, as simplistic as possible, if you will. There are thoughts that we are, that exist and kind of run as a programming in the background, right? They run all the time. They're constantly there. It's what makes our heart, our liver, our lungs, lung. Even though that we can take control of our breath and bring our awareness to it and consciously breathe, as opposed to unconsciously doing it, right? And we're grateful that those things exist on their own, right? Our body is able to regulate those functions without our input. Because just think, if you had to manage the intricate system that is making your kidneys run so your blood can be purified and your body can eliminate waste, and your liver, your kidneys and liver can function in tandem with one another. If you were responsible for those things, how far do you think we would actually get as a species if our conscious mind was required to make those things go? So there's a benefit to allowing our subconscious and our body's own intelligence be able to work for us in kind of moving us forward as a species, as human beings, right? We don't want to be responsible for all the things. So we need to look for clues about what is really going on below the threshold of our awareness. And our body is a great place to start. Getting into your body can allow you to see, as I walk across the room, I'm not giving this deep consideration to what my hip flexors are doing, what my glute minimus and glute maximus, what the muscles in my legs are doing to carry me across this room to the next thing that I have to do. It's just all happening on a subconscious level, and it's allowing me to carry myself throughout my day. However, it is brought quickly into our consciousness when it is hurt or it is injured, right? When we have an injury in that body part, the body is saying, hey, I need your attention. I need you to bring your awareness to this. We can no longer run on autopilot because there is some dysfunction or there is some disease within the body. So we need some of your attention. We need you to look at us so we can be fixed, if you will. So it's important that we spend the time to get into our bodies. If our body's health is compromised, our sleep patterns, our attitudes, and even our breath are most likely will be affected. And it is true. If you're not eating well, and then in turn you're not sleeping well, and then in turn you're not getting enough water, and then in turn you're not eliminating properly, then the body's own harmony has been disturbed, and it causes disease, right? If we do it for long enough. These in turn can affect our mental and emotional states, setting up a self-perpetuating cycle towards illness. And questionably, our mental and emotional and physical health affect our ability to see ourselves and our lives with clarity. So if your mind is mired with whatever ailment that you are trying to overcome or manage on a daily basis, it is stealing some of your brain processing, and it doesn't allow you to give your attention to other things that may need to be done. And that's a very hard place to be when you just can't get well enough within your body to be able to take care of your daily functions and take care of your life. And then in turn, what that can lead to is a deterioration in attitude, because now you're mentally in this state where it's the woe is me of I can't get these things done because I can't get my body moving, because I can't get out of bed. And then eventually that becomes deeply mentally taxing, and then your attitude a lot of times will change, where you'll end up being angry, sad, can lead to depression. And these are emotional cycles that you can get stuck in, all because of this dysfunction and this dis-ease that can be created in the body. So to learn the use of attitude to our best advantage, one of the big things that we can do is use our yoga practice to get into our body to help manage some of the things that can come up and arise from an emotional aspect on a daily basis as we move through our lives and as we go throughout the day. This means that yoga is an experience of consciousness without the fluctuations of the mind. It is perceiving life as is. So that is what we are striving towards. Not being stuck in the mindless circle that runs all the time, that is constantly on go, constantly narrating throughout your day that you really don't need. You don't have to think, I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom now, before you just get up and go to the bathroom. You could just get up and go to the bathroom. Knowing that you don't need all that chitta, that noise that goes on a regular basis, that you can just be in this moment right now and be completely present. And our yoga practice guides us in the direction of being able to do just that. Of the 5 actions needed to sustain life in the physical world, one that can be suspended for the shortest period of time is breath. So the thing that we can grasp and I don't like the word grasp. That's really not what I want. The thing that we can look to, that's a better way of putting it. The thing that we can look to in our yoga practice is being guided by our breath and using that as the metronome for kind of like the beat that we move through life with, right? If the breath is quick and agitated, usually that means that the mind is. If the breath is smooth and we're able to breathe through our postures or sustain these hard, difficult movements in the body or these hard, difficult situations, then we can in turn take that and use that in life when we're up against, whatever it is that we're up against in the office, or when we're dealing with the toughness that can be being a parent, or the overbearing boss, or whoever cut you off in traffic, right? All the things that happen on a day-to-day basis as we live life in the way that we do now. The quality of our breath affects our nervous system, the body, the chemistry, as well as our mental and emotional states. So taking the time to inspect the quality of your breath and inspect how it affects your body can really, really have can really, really improve your health. Overall, just in general, just by taking a simple inquiry. Not even saying that you're going to take the time to change it or investigate what it looks like, or why does it sound like this, or why can I breathe out of the right side of my nose but I can't breathe out of the left, and so on and so on and so on. Just simply investigating the quality of the breath gives us some awareness about where we can improve it, right? How we can make it better, how we can experience it better. So, in conclusion, just a brief overview of the philosophy of yoga and how it affects our daily lives, how it can be integrated in our daily lives, and how we can look at it as people on the whole, and taking these ancient practices and using them in our everyday life to benefit us greatly and keep us out of dis-ease and keep us in harmony.